Hey, it's Hussein. I'm back with another video on this mental health series. We're going to be talking about why it's important to talk about mental illness and mental health. So I'm going to start by asking a question. What is mental health? So what do we define mental health as? And I'm going to read it off my phone because I haven't memorized it. But mentalhealthamerica.org says a mental illness is a disease that causes mild or severe disturbances in a thought or behavior, resulting in an inability to cope with life's ordinary demands and routines. So basically, to summarize, it's something that causes something in your head, in your mind, that causes you pain, discomfort, and makes it harder to do normal things like, brushing your teeth or something. There's many different types of mental illnesses out there, and we can talk about that later. But so mental illness can be caused by many different things, including stress, lack of physical exercise or health, and also trauma, whether that's physical or emotional, and a bunch of other things. There's a whole variety of things that cause mental illnesses or mental diseases, if you are not sure whether or not you have a mental illness, I would highly recommend going to see a doctor or a professional. Like I said in the other video, I am not a professional, I am just a student, but I've been through a lot of things, and I have been diagnosed with many mental illnesses that we'll get into in another episode. But I would highly recommend seeing someone, whether it's a doctor or a psychiatrist or psychologist, or even a friend or family member, or talking to someone about it, because it is really important. So why is mental health such a big deal? I'm going to read some statistics that I found on mentalhealth.gov. 1 in 5 American adults suffer from some sort of mental illness, which is quite a lot of people. Also, 1 in 10 young adults or young teens suffer from some sort of severe depression. For me, that was the case for me. Depression really started when I was a teenager in high school, and it just started building up from there, so I totally understand that. Another reason why this is such a big deal is because suicide is one of the top 10 killers in the United States, and it takes over 40,000 American lives each year, which is insane. It breaks my heart whenever I hear a story about a person who has committed suicide, and I'm lucky that I don't know anyone who has, but I know how it feels to be in that position, and it is important, if you feel that way, to definitely talk to someone and seek help. So who does this affect? And really, it affects anyone and everyone. It doesn't have a barrier. It can affect you in the weirdest ways possible. It can affect you just because of a lot of stress, or if you've had something happen to you in the past, or if you're very anxious. There's many different ways that it can affect you, and it can affect pretty much anyone. It's not like something where you have a lot of money and you don't have a mental illness. It's not like that. It can affect anyone, and it can affect everyone, actually. So that's why it's such an important thing that we need to start talking about it, because the person sitting right next to you could be dealing with something incredibly hard, and you could be that person to talk to them about it. Or if you are dealing with something extremely hard, you should reach out to someone and talk to them about that. Mental illness has no boundaries. It can affect everyone. So I find that people usually mostly talk about mental illnesses and mental health usually when like a celebrity opens up about it, or someone of importance passes away from suicide or something like that. And as much as that's good that people do talk about it, it does frustrate me, because I think that we need to talk about it a lot more, rather than when someone famous talks about it. Because yes, I understand that there are many people in this world who are famous and they struggle with certain things, but they're also normal people like me and you, and all of our like friends and family members who struggle with these debilitating diseases, and they don't. I mean, people are scared to talk about it. So it is very important to talk about why you should be conscious about talking about mental illnesses, because I mean, when you talk about it, you're opening yourself up, but also, it could be helping someone else. It's a very important thing to talk about, and we need to talk about it more. Honestly, it's time, in my opinion. I honestly think that's yeah. So like I said, suicide is one of the leading causes of death in America, and that's tragic. Just the fact that someone feels like they need to take their own life breaks my heart, and I'm sure it breaks yours too. And the feeling that you feel when you feel like you want to take your own life is one of the hardest feelings in the world. It's you can't describe it. It's something that I personally cannot describe, but I have felt. And like I said before, I'm gonna keep saying this over and over again. I'm not a professional, so please just understand that I'm just giving you my perspective, and I'm just sharing what I've been through. And if you feel the need to share, please comment below. But the thing is that I think that we need to talk more about mental illnesses and mental health in general, because it's almost become a stigma to be like, oh, you're depressed, oh, you're anxious, you're just doing that for attention, or you're self-harm is for attention and stuff like that. Or that's not true. Okay, like there's so many things that affect a person's life that, like, honestly, that's not true. And it breaks my heart when people are scared to talk about it because they're afraid of what people might think of them. And that's why that's how I felt when I first started feeling depression. I was very scared to talk about it to anyone. And I think the first person I talked to about it was my sister. And she's older than I am, and she actually happened to be at the time she was studying psychology. And she didn't judge me in any way, but she did tell me that I need to see someone and talk to someone like a professional. And because I trusted her, because I know I look up to her, and I know she's always right, I did actually go and I told my parents, and I told them that I want to make an appointment with a therapist. And it took me a very long time in therapy to open up and to kind of find the right mix of things, but with time it gets easier. And it's very important that if you're feeling down and depressed or suicidal or anxious, like, don't be afraid, and don't let that hold you back from talking about it. Because honestly, if you don't talk about it and you just let it if you just let it sit inside you, then you're just gonna burst. And I've had that occasion where I've honestly been in the middle of I remember I was in the middle of class for my freshman year, and I was taking a test, and I started bawling, and I had to run out the room because I was just so anxious and just so done. And that's when that's kind of and that it's hard, because depression and anxiety can lead to many different things like self-harm and suicide. And it's a hard thing to talk about. I totally agree that it is very hard to talk about, and it's extremely hard to open up to people about. I know that sometimes opening up to people is hard because some people will judge you, and some people will kind of almost betray your trust. But if you open up to someone you truly trust, and you can trust, or if you don't have a friend or family member that you don't feel comfortable with that, please see a therapist or a psychologist or your doctor or anyone, because you are precious, you are worth it, you deserve to be happy. And it's something that will help you. So please if you have anything to say about, please comment below. I would love to hear what you guys think. I would love to start a discussion. Like I said in the beginning, we need to talk about mental health, and that's the reason why I'm making this series, is because it's time. It's something that we need to discuss. 100%. Let it out. So, like I said in the last episode, if you are struggling with suicidal thoughts or depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD, whatever it is, there is a suicide hotline number that you should call, or call a trusted friend, family member, doctor, teacher, whoever it is. Remember, you are worth it, you are important, you are beautiful. Take it a step at a time, and I'll see you all later.